If I was given the power to only give you one thing, to achieve your dreams and your goals, I would give you hunger. This drive, this sense of urgency to take action and create. I believe this is the separator. I talk to a lot of people about their dreams and about their goals, and there's a difference between someone actually creating results and someone who's just complaining and is stuck and is not taking any action. And it all comes down to the question of how bad do you want it? How important is this goal really? And there are a lot of people that talk about their dreams and their goals, and they like the idea of having this, but they don't want to do anything about it. And then you have the people with hunger, and they are willing to run through walls to get what they want. They are willing to die for that thing that they want. And these are the people that are unstoppable. So in this video, I also want to share some ideas and distinctions that will help you to cultivate this experience of hunger. Because you are your own worst enemy. And if you get out of your own way, the world is yours. And one of the first ideas I want to share with you is reflect on your mortality. And this was also one of the first concepts that I got in touch with or connected with in my personal development journey. When I was 15 years old, I picked up the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this book completely changed me. And specifically one chapter is a chapter that I hold close to me, because this one shook me to my core. And it's, if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend looking up the funeral exercise of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in short, the general idea of this exercise is the writer is guiding you through a visualization of a funeral, and he's painting the picture of you being there at the funeral. And then there's this moment where you walk up to the coffin. It's this last moment where you say goodbye to the person that died. And when you are at the coffin, you look inside, and that's when you see yourself. And that's when you realize that this whole funeral is for you. All the people that are there, all the family that is there, all the people that you know, they are attending your funeral. And the moment I read this for the first time, it hit me so deep, because that's when I got in touch with death, with my mortality. And then the writer asks a few questions, as in, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want people to say about you at your funeral? About how you lived your life, about the things that you're leaving behind, about the impact that you had on other people. What do you want them to say about you? And this is just one way to reflect on your mortality, but it's so important because you're probably living life as if you're living forever. You're just pushing all these ideas and dreams and all the things that you want to be doing to the future. Someday you will get to them. But life can end in a split second. You don't have forever. Even me recording this video, maybe a tree will fall into the car and life is over. Like, it happens. Every single day it happens. And when you reflect on your mortality, it's hard, it's difficult, it's uncomfortable. But you also cultivate this reverence for life and the importance of this moment. It also can cultivate this experience of peace, because who cares how bad you mess up? Who cares what happens? Because you're going to die anyway. So you might as well be living a life that you're passionate about and living the craziest life you can imagine. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you make, because you're going to die. The people that will laugh at you are going to die. So who cares? There's nothing to lose. So one of the first strategies to create this reverence, but also cultivate this hunger and sense of urgency, is to reflect on your mortality. And the second thing, if I could only give you one thing, by the way, it's this second thing. This second thing is so powerful, and it's create an all or nothing situation. So I believe most people are way too comfortable in their life, and then they share how much pain they are and how much they're suffering and how hard life is. But you're probably comfortable in your pain. You're too comfortable in your suffering, because the idea of changing and pursuing your dreams and goals is apparently scarier. It's way bigger and way more painful than the pain that you experience right now. Most people run around in that same circle of pain and suffering because they're so comfortable in their own pain and suffering. So you need something that stretches you, that challenges you, that almost forces you to change. And this is where an all or nothing situation can be so powerful. Some people call it burn the boat, no plan B. And if I look at all the success that I've created in my life, it's from these kind of experiences where I put myself in a position where I was forced to change. I had no other choice than to change. And just to give you a quick example, and there are so many examples, there was a time where I impulsively moved to a different country, to Porto. And a lot of people, if you're thinking about moving to a different country, there's loads of preparation. You want to know everything about it before you're ready and have all the certainty to make the move. My preparation was, I booked a one-way ticket, I booked an Airbnb for a week, and I figured my stuff out. That's my preparation. When I arrived there, I had no connections. I didn't know anything about the city. I've never been there before. I don't speak the language. So now what? Now I figure my stuff out. And this period forced me to show up differently. It stretched who I was being. I had to shift who I was being in the moment to not end up on the streets. Because a lot of people think like, oh, but if I don't want to be coming across as pushy, I don't want to be asking so much. But if I wasn't pushy in that week time frame, I would be ending up on the streets. So I had to boldly request the things that I want. I had to make as many connections as possible as an introvert. So it pushed me to an extrovert extreme. And this whole week, it's changed me completely. Now, I'm not saying to just randomly travel to a different country. This is just an example of how you can put yourself in a situation that forces you to change. And this applies to any goal in your life. If you want to do public speaking, for example, sign up for a speaking event. Make sure that it's in your calendar when you have your first speaking gig or your speaking event. Because this signing up for it forces you to prepare like crazy. Instead of just calmly, comfortably preparing, and whenever you feel ready, you will sign up. Like you have to sign up before you're ready. Similar to running a marathon. If you've never run in your life before and you think like, oh, I want to run a marathon, sign up for one. And this forces yourself to prepare. It forces yourself to shift in a whole different kind of being. And this is what you want to be experiencing. Similar to if you want to build muscle, sign up for a bodybuilding competition. If you want to build a course, set a deadline for the course, tell everyone about it, sell people into the course already before the launch, and then start building. This is how you force yourself to change. So create an all or nothing situation that stretches yourself. And this is the one, it requires courage. But if you're sick and tired of running around in circles in this comfortable bubble that you've created for yourself, in this pain and suffering, you need something that challenges you. And this is how you create a radical change in your life. So this is the number one strategy. If you're taking away one thing to cultivate a sense of hunger and urgency, it's this one. It's this one. So third thing that I want to share with you is a distinction. And this is a distinction that you can use to call yourself out on your bullshit. And it's the distinction of can't versus won't. And I don't remember the writer that talked about this, but I will link it somewhere in the description below. And you can think about a goal that you want to be achieving and that you're procrastinating on and you're slacking. It could be a goal in health, fitness, relationships, it doesn't matter. And I'll give an example of a guy in my community, in the men's group that I'm running. So he was sharing how something was holding him back from taking action on building his coaching business. So I challenged him to get very specific about what the actual problem was. And eventually we got to a point where he told me, I don't know who to reach. I don't know who to reach out to. I don't know where to find prospects that could be, that I could do business with, that could become my client. And that's when I said to him, if we would make an agreement right now, where you would make a list of 50 people that you know that could become maybe your client. And next week, you show me that list. And if you do so, if you've created this list, I will give you $1 million bonus. And then I asked him, would you be able to do it? So next week you have a list of 50 people and I will give you $1 million bonus. And he said, well, of course I can do this. Of course I would make one. And that's an example of the difference between can't versus won't, because he was coming from the perspective of, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. But when there is a $1 million bonus involved, all of a sudden he said, well, yeah, I can do this. Of course I could make a list. And that's the difference between someone who can do it and is choosing not to do it. Because in most cases, in most of your goals, you think, I don't know how. You think, I can't do this. But it's actually a matter of you're choosing not to do it. Because if there's a $1 million bonus involved, you would be able to take action. If you would tell me, next month, run an Olympic record in the 100-meter sprint, I would tell you, well, there's a very high likelihood that I can't do this. This is not a matter of I'm choosing not to do it, but I just can't. I physically can't. But in at least 80%, close to 90% easily of the actions that you're thinking about and think you want to be doing, it's a matter of you choosing not to do it. And it's not a matter of I don't know how or oh, I can't do it. Because this is just an excuse out of fear because you're afraid to take action. You're afraid to take imperfect action. And it's important that you hold yourself accountable. And that you call yourself out on your bullshit as in, I'm choosing not to do this because of whatever reason. And for a lot of men, it's pretty difficult to call themselves out. And this is also a big reason why a lot of men join the men's group and join the community, because they want to be challenged on their perspective. They want to be called out on things that they're procrastinating on. Because there are a lot of excuses and stories inside of us that we're unaware of. And we think that this is the truth. We hold them as the truth. But when someone calls you out on it, you can see like, I was just too afraid to take action. And when you have also a supportive community that you're growing with together and working on these goals, it makes action so much more easier. So if you're interested actually to try out the community for free and to meet all the guys in the community and to see how this can support you in your journey, you can fill out the application in the description below and we can just hop on a call and connect. So that's the third thing that I wanted to share with you, the distinction between I can't versus I won't. And remember that most of your excuses is not because you can't, it's because you're choosing not to do it. Fourth thing, this hypes me up. I love this topic so much about hunger. The fourth thing is creating a hell vision. And I know all of these sound a little bit more radical, but this is also necessary to cultivate this hunger. Because you're not afraid of the thing that you think you're afraid of. And I know this sounds maybe a bit contradicting, but you think you're afraid of looking stupid. You think you're afraid of making a mistake or not knowing what to do and what will other people think of me and the judgments. But this is not the actual thing you're afraid of. This is a very close-minded perspective. I remember at my lad sharing his vision and his perspective of hell. And it's something along the lines of, on my last day on this earth, the person who I became will meet the person I could have become. And those two people are total strangers. And he also shared his definition of heaven, which is, on my last day on earth, the person who I became will meet the person I could have become. And those two people are identical twins. And it's important that you imagine yourself in the future. How you would look back at your life. Will you look back from a place of regret? Because that's the real thing you want to be afraid of. It's not, like I said, it's not about looking stupid. The pain of regret is far worse. Like his definition of hell, meeting the person you could have become and you two are total strangers. If I start thinking about this, that's painful to imagine. So and this is the powerful thing about creating a hell vision, because you are not taking action or you're taking you're doing something right now. And if you imagine, what would your life in 2 years look like if you would continue doing this thing that you're doing right now? What will happen? How would other people see you? How would they view you? How will they talk about you? How do you feel about yourself? If you keep on doing the same things that you're doing right now, and 2 years from now, you look back at December 2024 and like, oh, I wish I started this business. I wish I started working out. I wish I approached this goal. Like, to live with that kind of regret is painful. And for me, right now, it only takes me a few minutes of reflection. Just a few minutes of thinking when I'm procrastinating like that, a few minutes of reflection where I will end up in 2 years. Like, and I already feel the discomfort. I feel a visceral reaction of this is not where I want to go. And when you create a hell vision and when you're visualizing you in 2 years, don't be too kind for yourself. Like, this is where you are allowed to increase the pain levels to extremes. Because most people don't change because the pain and suffering that they experience in this moment is not big enough yet. They think the pain of changing is harder than the pain they experience right now. And I wish it wasn't true, but this is the sad reality that most people live in. The sad reality is they need to experience more pain. Most people are waiting for like something terrible to happen, an illness, death of a loved one, whatever it is, before they make a change. But you don't have to wait for something external to create a pain for you. You can, by your imagination, your mind is powerful. Through imagination, you can create this pain yourself. And once you connect with the pain and you come back to this present moment, that's when you have a choice. Similar to the distinction that I shared with I can't versus I won't. You have a choice to take action. You have a choice to change your future, to change that vision. So that's the fourth thing I wanted to share with you. Create a hell vision. And what I love about all these points is they're a little bit more radical. And this is also my style of living life. If I look at the last point, this one is a little bit more gentle. It's surround yourself with greatness. And surrounding yourself with greatness could mean many different things. The thing is, energy rubs off on you. That's why you want to surround yourself with certain kind of people. So what I, for example, experience in the community, there are a few guys who are crazy. They are relentless when it comes to pursuing their goals. And they are, for example, doing the things that I shared in this video. They are putting themselves in an all or nothing situation. And they are all in. They are going at it. They are stretching themselves. And what I love about this is when I see this and when I see their progress and when I see them fall flat on their face and pick themselves back up, that's the inspiring stuff. Like, I feel internally my bar of how I'm showing up in life is being raised to extremes. Because if they are showing up, I want to show up like that as well. Energy rubs off on you. Greatness rubs off on you. So when you surround yourself with people who are relentlessly pursuing their goals, like, it's pretty hard not to do it. And that's, I believe, the power of the community. And when I look at successful people, for example, sometimes it's inspiring, but a lot of times it's not inspiring as well. Because what I want to see is, I want to see the real human that's there. I don't want to see just the success. I want to see the raw, unfiltered version of them. I want to see them struggling and making mistakes and picking themselves back up. Like, these are the things that are most inspiring. It's easy to be positive in success, but how do you deal with yourself, deal with life in hardship? And having individuals around you that are pursuing their goals, that are working through this hardship, that's the real inspiring stuff. I don't necessarily care about their successes that they achieve, but it's in who they are being in the process of achieving that success. And if you don't have the people around you, you can find communities everywhere. In your gym, you can try out my community for free if you want to. You can find people everywhere. You can create connections online, send someone a message. And in the beginning of my journey, I didn't have these people around me. So what I did is I just listened every single day to motivational speakers. And they are talking about hunger and all these things nonstop. So I was listening to motivational speakers, the podcasts, the books I was reading, the events that I was going to. Surround yourself with greatness and you will become great, because it's not that they have something that you don't. When you surround yourself with greatness, it's you seeing yourself in them. You see a different part that's already inside of you in them. It's all a reflection of you. By surrounding yourself with greatness, you will see the greatness that is inside of you. And I believe that's the power that will create this hunger. Because if you tap into the possibilities that are within you, you have no other option than to pursue it. Like this is a question that triggers this hunger inside of me as well, is what am I capable of? If you are able to conquer this overthinking or this phase that you're in, if you are able to conquer your goals, you start to ask yourself this question like, if I'm capable of this, what am I capable of in life? And that's the question that also guides me a lot. That's the question that excites me, that curiosity, as in how far can I stretch myself? And every single time I thought like, I'm not capable of this, I can do this. And I stretched myself and I experienced that I was able to handle the situation. I'm like, I'm only this far to really explore my own potential, which is an exciting journey, an exciting thought to connect with. So I hope these elements helped you, and these ideas and distinctions helped you to also cultivate a sense of urgency and this feeling of hunger inside of you. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.